Jim Monahan, Chris Swendeman, 2 Minute Drill podcast. And shall we take a moment of silence for our New York football Giants and their elimination from the postseason? The first team this season to be eliminated. Moment of silence. All right, that's enough.
All right. At least they were first at something.
Yeah. We were talking last week that the new coaching hire is something that they absolutely have to get right.
Absolutely.
And now it looks like they're going to have to absolutely get right a defensive coordinator hire as well, because what's been happening this season has just been a huge mess.
That loud scream you heard was the noise of Giant fans yelling hallelujah, because every Giant fan I know has wanted to get rid of Shane Bowen for weeks. And the more they lose, in the fourth quarter, they drafted some of these guys so high over the last couple of years, and they're just not making a difference. The controversy right after we cut last week's podcast. Remember the whole controversy with Abdul Carter? What was he sleeping? Did he miss a walkthrough? And then you have Scadaboo and other players showing up at Monday Night Raw and getting into a skirmish. I use the air quotes for those who can't see.
We all know that was scripted. We get it.
But still, was that the smartest move? You know what? That works when you're over 500. That works when everything's working right. When you're the first team to be knocked out of playoff contention, you probably should focus on football and less on wondering where you're going to be when you're not having practice. And for Scadaboo, I think you just got to be smarter than that. But the Abdul Carter thing is baffling, and I think it just shows that the coaching staff has kind of just completely lost control of this team.
When you think back 6 weeks ago to the Giants win over the Eagles, and you think how well the defense played that night. And a lot of people were really saying, hey, Bowen has something here. And then to watch what happened, you talked about these fourth quarter losses. They have blown double-digit leads in the fourth quarter 3 times. Double-digit leads.
I mean, the one against Denver.
They've blown 5 double-digit leads overall. That's hard to do.
It's really hard to do. And the Denver one was almost like, we were texting each other during the game. What do we watch? What's happening right now? Because you couldn't fathom. It's like, well, they're not going to lose it. I mean, all right, they'll give up a couple points here. Wow, they lost. It was like one of those things like you just couldn't believe what you were watching happen. Like it was almost like so catastrophic. You're like, this can't happen. There's no way. Oh, it did. Oh, they really lost. And I think after that, I think the team just kind of lost any confidence in trying to close out a game. And you've seen it almost every week since. Chicago, this week. I mean, they've just every time they get to the fourth quarter. If they pulled the game back to 3 quarters, I mean, they would be good to go. But it's that fourth quarter that gets them each time.
And, of course, I know the fans are all up in arms over the decision to go for it on 4th and goal instead of taking the 3 points. And you can argue it either way. If they get the first down there, they take more time off the clock, and they probably end up coming away with points. In retrospect, it's a horrible decision because you didn't get anything. You look at what the Patriots did yesterday, where they were on Sunday, where they were inside, they had 1st and goal, I think 7 times and got 0 points. The difference is the Patriots win the game. But you're looking at that game going, Mike Vrabel, what are you thinking here? Could we get 3 points here? Because the running game for the Patriots wasn't working. I don't want to concentrate on them at the moment because the Giants are the focus. But there's so many different things going on. After the game, Bob Papa and Carl Banks were playing the part of the fan, if you will. And it was absolutely refreshing to hear your home team radio announcers with a WTF is going on here when Dexter Lawrence is on the sidelines for 2 big important plays, and Banks really hammered this home. Like, what's going on here? And then you have Malik Neighbors injured on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and he eventually took it down, but he's questioning some of what's going on the field as well. They've lost the locker room. The entire coaching staff has lost the locker room.
Agreed. I couldn't agree with you more, Jim. I mean, this is just a team that's a rudderless ship. They have no leadership. For a while, we were talking about, maybe the combination of Scatterboo and Dart will give them that jump, that energy that they needed in the locker room. But I mean, this is just a rudderless ship right now. They need somebody to come in. An assistant coach isn't going to cut it this year. Hiring a new assistant coach, this team needs an authoritarian. They need a voice that they're going to listen to. You know what the difference is between good teams and bad teams? The voice in the locker room that tells them, guys, you have the confidence to win this game. The Giants lose in the fourth quarter. Just using the example that you just said, the Patriots find a way to win. Vrabel is the voice in the locker room that says, guys, we're going to get through this. We're going to get the win. 10-2 is all the proof you need. The right coach, the right voice in the locker room that commands the respect and the attention of the players. And right now, they are just an absolute disaster.
Not just 10-2, but one other thing about the Patriots. They are 5-0 in games decided by 6 points or less. And we talked about this last week, this learning how to win. The Giants know how to lose. They have found numerous ways to lose. What they need to do is find a way to win. And yes, you should be learning more from your losses than your wins. But Vrabel was really ticked off yesterday after the win because he knew how poorly the team had played. So in whatever meeting that he has going on into the game plan with the Giants next week, you know that he's going to approach it differently than probably the Giants will. Now watch, a week from now, the Giants will turn around and beat the Patriots in Monday Night Football.
Because of course, that's exactly the way it's supposed to happen, isn't it? I mean, it's such a stark difference in watching the entire Giants organization that just can't seem to get out of their own way, no matter which way they turn. And the Patriots, who were supposed to be rebuilding, it's almost not fair to if you're another team, you're looking at the Patriots going, they had like two mediocre seasons, and here they are.
They were horrible seasons. They were mediocre. 4-13 is bad.
Right, but still, you had. I mean, before they got Vrabel, all right, they looked,
inept.
They looked
they
like
were horrible. They were bad.
All right, we'll go with inept. Great analogy. You get Vrabel in, now they're 10-2. It's almost like the rest of the league is going, this isn't fair. We haven't even gotten to catch up to them. And here they are, rebuilt and 10-2 and leading the AFC. Some organizations just know how to get into the W column, and other ones find ways to just avoid it like the plague. And the Giants right now, I mean, they are just a dumpster fire.
I want to turn our attention to the Kansas City Chiefs for a moment because they've been up and down, a 6-5 record. All 5 of their losses, though, Chris, have been by 1 score. So they're in every game, and I think the clock is ticking on them. I really think the window's closing. They look a little old. They look not unfocused, but obviously at 6-5, you are, as Bill Parcells said, you are what your record says you are. But they're having difficulty closing out games. And again, the fact that they are, the 5 losses are less than a touchdown tells you something about what's going on there.
They absolutely are. And you could tell, Kelsey is long in the tooth now. Pacheco is hurt. They haven't really had the running game this year. Their wide receiver core is not there. Rashee Rice coming back, I think, has helped them a little bit. But their defense can't really stop teams like they have been the last couple of years. And, Mahomes is the one bright spot. Mahomes is going to be there. But without the supporting cast like he's had in past years, you could see he's struggling. And there are times when he looks like he's trying to force it, when normally he would be able to make those plays, but he doesn't have the playmakers to help him. And, Kelsey doesn't look like the Kelsey of 3-4 years ago because he's older. I mean, maybe he does have focused elsewhere. He's not as focused as he once was just on football. But I think that between that and the age, I just think they're getting long in the tooth, and you're starting to see where the KC dynasty might start to go a little south now.
Turning our focus to baseball, we were talking last week about Pete Alonso and what
Mhm.
the Mets might do. And I think the trade the Mets and Rangers made, Brandon Nimmo,
Yep.
Marcus Semien, might give you an indication of what the Mets are thinking here. You think Giants fans are upset about what's been happening with the team? Well, Mets fans are making a lot of noise on social media because Brandon Nimmo was a big fan favorite. And the fact that they traded him and they got better defensively with Semien at second base, I'll
Definitely.
grant you that. But he is a little bit older
Yep.
than Nimmo. But the fact
Hmm.
that they did that is telling you we're not going to be sentimental here. And I don't even know if Semeny will be on the roster. He could be part of another
Sure.
trade. So I'm not going to go off on whether this was a good deal or not. But I think that might give you an idea of how the Mets approach this whole thing with Alonso and maybe even Diaz as well, another fan favorite.
Yep. Yeah, I think they're saying the status quo is clearly not okay. And to get rid of Nimmo, a fan favorite, and somebody who's been a staple in that locker room for many, many years now, it sends a message. Maybe they're looking for an outfielder. Maybe they're going to sign an outfielder in free agency, and they needed the spot. I get it, but there was no, the, there was no heartfelt goodbyes, or there was no, well, Nimmo's a big part of our core. Well, the core wasn't cutting it because they didn't do well with these guys. And you know what? The only guy to me that is safe at this point is Juan Soto. And after that, everybody else is negotiable. I mean, pitching, what pitcher on the Mets staff stands out that you would say, no, we can't get rid of him? Other than the anybody in the farm system and their rookies that are coming up. Anybody else to me is expendable. I even think Diaz, as good as Diaz has been for them, you know what? That maybe you need sometimes you need change to change. And I think that's what the Mets are saying. Like, this just hasn't been good enough, and we need to clear it out and do what we need to do to make a change. And it's going to be interesting to see who they sign in the offseason.
Meanwhile, with the Yankees, no surprise that Aaron Judge, the MVP, and you're looking at a
Right.
Hall of Fame career. There is no question about it. And I've seen a lot of people, a lot of Yankee fans on social media saying that the team needs to get a star to add to the roster so that Judge can finally get his ring. And I'm thinking, wait a second. They had Garrett Cole,
Right.
they had Juan Soto, they had Stanton. They
Right.
got to the World Series. Like, what more do you need? Like, you had those guys right there around him. And again, that window's closing as well,
Oh,
in terms of
absolutely.
getting a World Series ring for Aaron Judge. And I don't think they're just one player away.
No, no, they are not. The bullpen is a mess. They have some good start. They made some good pickups in the bullpen, but the bullpen still has question. Are they going to re-sign Devin Williams? I don't think they should, but they might. He didn't look all that great in pinstripes last year. A lot of the players that they thought were going to work out didn't. Um, David Bednar was a nice addition,
Hmm.
but they need help. Um, 1 through 5, even with Cole back, I think you're at a 3, and you have Schlittler, who could be really good, looks to be the part, but let's see for a full season. Um, and they need guys that get on base, like not just home run or strike out. You need more than that. And 1 through 9, it's not impressive. You when you have Judge, you have Stanton, but then you kind of get into the Ryan McMahons of the world, and you're like, yeah, not really what we're looking for here. Yeah, and I mean, they Brian Cashman has his work cut out for him, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the offseason as well, because it they need both. Like, where maybe the Mets focus more on the pitching aspect, and maybe they're one hitter away. The Yankees, I feel like they're kind of in the middle of the road where they need a little bit of everything. So it's going to be an interesting offseason for both New York teams for sure.
And we'll be keeping an eye on what happens at the winter meetings coming up in December. And that's
Yep.
the 2 minute drill for another week. You know what we say. Like,
Yep.
subscribe, give us the thumbs up, something, whatever kicks the analog into, or algorithm, excuse me, not analog,
Yep.
whatever kicks that algorithm going. You like what you hear and see, tell a friend. Otherwise, tell an enemy. Just make sure you tell somebody.
Even tell two enemies.
Yeah. Two for the
Exactly.
price
We'll
of
take
one.
it.
All right,
Exactly.
Swendeman, we'll talk next week.
You got it, Jim. Have a great one.